Hello students, I am Sheradha Jauhari, Assistant Professor in IT Department at AKGEC, Ghaziabad. Today I am going to discuss conditional statement in C, as this is one of the most important topic in programming for problem solving. Let us see what are conditional statements. Conditional statements are used to execute a group of statements if some condition is true, otherwise if condition is false, then other group of statements are executed. Means if we want to check, if we want to decide what certain steps we want to execute within a program, then we use conditional statements. If we get condition true, then certain steps are executed, otherwise other set of statements are executed. So C provide two types of conditional statement. One is the if statement and second is the switch statement. So one by one we are going to discuss these two kind of statements. First we have if statement. What is if statement? It is a two-way decision making statement which is basically of two types, basically four types. It can be divided into four types. One is the simple if statement, then if else statement, nested if else and else if later. Each and every kind has its own use within the program. So first of all we will discuss simple if statement. What is simple if statements? Means what is the meaning of if? If this condition is true, perform certain task, otherwise not. So it is a two-way decision making statement in which we do not have else part. If condition is true, certain steps are being executed, but if condition is false, nothing will get executed. Normal sequence of the program will continue. The syntax is if test expression and statement 1. This is the syntax. Means if I say if A is equals to 5, if A is equals to 5, print hello. So what it will print? If value of A is equals to 5, then it will print hello. This is the flowchart for if statement. If test expression is checked, if this test expression is true, statement block will get executed. If this test expression is false, normal sequence of the program is followed which we have written in the code. Let us discuss it with a program. So we have to find out the absolute value of the given number. So here it is written, we have taken an input n and taken this value of n from user. Now if n is less than 0, if user inserts -4, so what is the absolute value of n? It is 4. So if n is less than 0, n is equals to -n. Absolute value is always n. So this is the output. If number entered is -12, what it will return? It will return 12 because it is the absolute value. So here we have written only one condition, that is if. That is if n is less than 0, means if user is providing negative value, then n is what? N is -n, but absolute value is n. So there is no else part, no otherwise situation. We only have to execute when this particular situation is true. Second, we have if else statement. If else statement is just like if statement but with a else part. Means if condition is true, do certain action. If condition is false, do another set of action. So what is the syntax? If test expression. Here we write the condition, and if this particular condition is true, statement block 1 will get executed. But if this particular expression is false, statement block 2 will get executed. Means in this case we have two parts, that is if as well as else. So here we have the flowchart. Test expression is checked within the decision box. Now if result is true, statement block 1 is executed, but if this is false, statement block 2 is executed. And after execution of statement block 1 and statement block 2, normal execution of the program will take place. Let us discuss it with a program. The program is to check whether the given number is odd or even. Now, when we enter a number, the number is either even or odd. So, when we have a situation like this, whether this condition is true or not, in that particular case, we use if-else. Means when we want to work on both situations, true condition as well as false condition, we use if-else. So, in this particular program, we have taken input A, which is of type integer. Next, we take input from the user side with the help of scanf function and A. Now, this is the condition for checking the even number. So, if A modulus 2 is equals to 0, we are comparing if whatever number A is inserted here is divisible by 2 or not. If remainder is 0, modulus gives us remainder. So, if remainder is 0, it means that particular number is completely divisible by 2, and if a number is completely divisible by 2, it is a even number. So, what it will return? It will return number is even. But if this result is false, that is A modulus 2 is not equal to 0, in that particular case, A is what? A is odd number. So, else part will get executed and we will get A is odd. Here we have the example. Let us assume the value entered by user is 62. Now, 62 modulus 2. 62 modulus 2. 62 is completely divisible by 2. So, what is the remainder? Remainder is 0. We get 0 here. So, the result of modulus is 0, which means this particular if condition is true, which means statement that is A is even is executed. So, result printed is 62 is even. Next, we have nested if-else statement. What is nested if-else? We have discussed if statement and if-else statement. If statement says if certain condition is there, do certain task. Means if condition is true, then only execute certain steps. If-else says if condition is true, perform certain task. If condition is false, perform another set of tasks. Nested if-else is if-else within if and else. Here is the example, here is the syntax. Syntax is if test expression 1, that is if condition 1. If within this if condition 1, we have again written if and else. That is if condition 2, statement block 1, else statement block 2. Means this particular section, that is if test expression 2, will only execute when this particular expression, test expression 1 is true. If this test expression 1 is false, in that particular case, we will execute the else part. So, when this expression 1 is false, what will be executed? This part will be executed. And as you can see here also within else part, we have written if and else. So, this is the syntax for if nested if else. We are using if else within if else. This is the flow chart. Okay, if test expression 1 is true, what will execute? It will again check the test expression 2. Now, if this test expression 2 is true, statement 1 will execute. If this is false, statement 2 will execute. But if this expression is false, in that particular case, else part will be executed. And what else part says? Else part is again checking the expression 3. So, if expression 3 is true, statement block 3 will get executed, and if expression 3 is false, statement block 4 will be executed. And after execution of any one of these statements, 1, 2, 3 and 4, Ultimately, the normal sequence of program will resume, that is statement X. Let us understand this with a program. The program is to find the largest of three numbers, to check which number is largest among three. So, we have taken input of three numbers A, B and C. These are entered here with the help of scanf function A, B and C. Now, what is the condition to find out the greatest of three numbers? What we will say, if I have an example, A is equals to 5, B is equals to 6 and C is equals to 7. Which is greatest? C is greatest. So, what we have to print? We have to get the output C because it is holding the value 7. So, condition is checked if A is greater than B. How we are going to compare? We are comparing A and B first. A is compared with B. So, A is what? 5 and B is 6. 5 is greater than 6. Condition is what? Condition is false. So, if part is not executed, where we will reach? We will reach at the else part. Now, else part says if B is greater than C. B is what? 6 and C is 7. So, here it is written 6 is greater than 7, which is also false. So, again else part will be executed and else part it is written C is largest. Ultimately, what we want to print? The largest number, which is C, and here we are getting the largest number, that is C. Here we can see the output. A is 24, B is 57 and C is 46. So, for this example, that is 24, 57 and 46. Which is the largest? 57. So, first of all, A is compared with B. A is what? 24, B is 57. 24 is greater than 57. Condition is what? Condition is false. So, where we reach? Where we reach to else part. Else part says B is greater than C. B is what? 57 and C is 46. Condition is true. So, what will be printed? B is largest, that is 57 is largest. Next, we have else if ladder. We have discussed nested if else. There is a difference between nested if else and else if ladder. In nested if else, we are using the if else condition within another if and else. But else if ladder is what? If test expression 1 is there, certain step will get executed. Else if keyword is used and condition is written here. Else if test expression 2 is true, statement block 2 will get executed. But in case suppose test expression 1 fails, then it will check test expression 2. If test expression 2 will fail, it will check statement block 3. Means either one statement will get executed. If first statement itself is a true statement, in that particular case statement block 1 will get executed and rest of the statements are skipped and control goes to statement X. But if statement 1 is false, then in that case statement 2 will be checked. After that, if this is also false, further statements are checked, and this condition statement checking is continuous till we reach the else part, and finally we will print the else part if all the conditions will become false. After that statement X will be executed. So, here we have the flow chart, that is test expression 1, it is checked. If it is true, statement block 1 will get executed and control goes to statement block X. Means all other part of the program will get skipped. Next, if this test expression 1 is false, in that particular case, test expression 2 is checked. If this test expression 2 is true, statement block 2 will get executed and control will come to statement block X. But if this also fails, in that case, statement block 3 will get executed and then control goes to statement block X. So, in else if ladder, only one condition will be executed, rest of the conditions will be skipped. Let us discuss it with an example. Here we have a program to check whether a number is positive, negative or 0. So, we want to check different conditions. So, for this we have taken an input from user, that is n. N is entered by user. Now, first condition is if n is greater than 0. If n is greater than 0, it means what? N is positive number. So, what we have to print? We have to print number is positive. Else if n is less than 0, means n is less than 0. It means number is what? It is negative. Next, if these two condition fails, in that particular case, number is what? Number is 0. So, let us assume we entered 25. So, 25 is a number which is positive, means at the place of n, user entered what? 25. N is 25. Now, condition is checked. N is greater than 0. N is greater than 0. Yes, it is true. Because n is what? N is 25. If this condition is true, it means what will be get printed? We will print number is positive. But if user entered -4, if the situation is user entered -4, number is what? It is negative. So, first of all, condition is checked, n is greater than 0. The condition will get false because n is what? It is less than 0. So, this statement is skipped. Next, else if n is less than 0, which means the condition is true because we have entered -4. So, this particular condition is true in that case. And what will get printed? Number is negative. So, when number is positive, we are printing positive, and when number is negative, we are printing negative. So, any one condition is getting printed at one time. Next, we have the switch statement. Switch statement is a multi-way decision making. Just like if else is a two-way decision making statement. Means we have two parts, either this or that. Means if it is true, condition is true, perform certain step. If condition is false, perform another set of steps. But decision tree is a multi-way decision making statement, which means multiple expressions are checked and based upon the case values for equality, certain set of instruction is being executed. The syntax for switch statement is switch expression. The expression which is provided here is of type integer or character. These two data types are allowed to be passed within this expression. Means whatever is the value of expression is either integer or character. Within the switch body, what we write? We write the label case value 1, case value 2, case value 3 and finally default. So, value 1, value 2, value 3, these are the values which are compared with the expression written here. So, whatever expression we are going to write here within the switch is compared with these values. So, if this particular expression is equivalent to value 1, what will get printed? What will be get executed? We will execute statement block 1. If this particular expression is equivalent to value 2, in that particular case, we are going to execute statement block 2. If value 3 is equivalent to this expression, statement block 3 will be executed. So, at a time only one statement is going to be executed, but the selection of a statement is totally based upon the equality between expression and the case value. If any one of the values are not equivalent with the expression, in that particular case, default statement is being executed. And after that, normal execution of the program continues. Now there is a statement written here, break. Break is responsible for breaking out from the loop. Means if this particular expression is equivalent to value 1, then in that case, if we are writing break here, so only statement block 1 will get execute, and after that the control will directly come to statement X. But if we do not write this break statement here, after executing statement block 2, the control, the sequence of program will continue to the execution of statement block 2. Means after executing block 1, we will execute block 2 if this break statement is not written. So it is a good practice that when we want to stop in a particular case, then we should write break statement. So these are few characteristics for the switch statement. That is, whatever I have discussed earlier also, that is case values can be integral, that is int or char. The expression whatever we are providing are in integer type or character type, and if expression we are providing are integer or character, in that case values, case values are also be integer or character. Next, case values can't be float or a string. The case values or the expression we are writing in the switch case cannot be of float type or string type. Next, default can be placed anywhere inside the switch. There is no proper place to write default in the switch case. You can write it anywhere, and you can skip it also. It is not mandatory. Next, we have break is not mandatory inside the switch. We use break statement to skip the remaining case values of the switch. But if we want to continue all the execution part, in that particular case we can remove break statement. So break statement is not mandatory when we are writing it in switch. Next, we do not have any limitation on number of cases. We can have n number of cases. There is no limitation that you can only write 4 cases or 5 cases. You can write n number of cases. Next, case values can be expression consisting of constants only. Whatever case values we are going to write, that is, if I am writing case 4, it is what? 4 is of integer type. I can also write case asterisk, that is of character type. Special symbol is used, but these characters or values are of only integer or character. Now, what is the difference between if-else statement and switch statement? If-else statement, it contains multiple expression with multiple choices, but in switch statement, it contains single expression for multiple choices. For example, if I take if-else, so if condition 1, statement 1 will get execute, else if condition 2, statement 2 will get execute, else statement 3 will get executed. So whatever we are writing the condition, we can write n number of conditions. We are writing n number of conditions when we are using if-else statement. But in case of switch statement, we are only providing a single expression, but there are multiple choices. Based upon the value of single expression, we have multiple options so that we can opt any one option. Next, we have It tests for all relational logical operators. In if-else statement, we have an option to check, to write these conditions based upon any relational or logical operator also. But in case of switch case, we can test it only for equality, which means if I write if A is greater than B, else if A is greater than C, I am using relational operator, that is greater than. I can also write A is equals to B, means I can use any relational operator or logical operator when I am writing the condition within the if else. But when I am writing the condition within the switch statement, the expression must be equivalent to the case value. So it only works for the equality, means if expression is equal to the case value, then only certain step will get executed, otherwise no other relation is acceptable here. Next we have, it evaluates to integer, character, pointer or floating point type. In starting I told you switch case only accepts integer or character type as an expression, but there is no such criteria for the if else statement. If else statement can use any kind of data type within it, but in switch case we can have only integer and character. Last but not the least, editing is difficult in nested if else, but editing is easy in switch case. How? Because in if else, nested if else or else if ladder, what we provide multiple conditions, and based upon those multiple conditions, multiple statements are associated with each and every condition. So if there is problem in particular condition, then we have to check number of statements which are associated with that particular condition. But when we are talking about the switch statement and we are passing certain expression value, we know which case value must be equivalent to the certain expression. So we have to only check or edit the particular case value. So editing is very much easy when we talk about switch statement as compared to if else. Here is the program using the switch case. We can understand the logic of switch statement with the help of this program. This is the program which is calculating all the arithmetic operations on the operands. So mainly we have 4 arithmetic operations: addition, multiplication, division and subtraction. So what I have taken, input is taken A, B and C, that is 2 operands are there for taking the value, for taking data, and whatever result is given, that is going to be stored in third variable C. OP is the character type variable which is used for the case values of the switch. So A and B are taken as input values from the user, and OP is also the expression value which is being provided, which is being passed to the switch case. So OP is the character type variable. So what we have provided in the case values, we have written plus, minus, multiply and divide symbols. So whenever user will press plus symbol, here the OP variable will accept plus and look for the case value which is exactly similar to this particular symbol. So when I will pass plus here, it will, we stopped here because here I have written case value plus, and within this case plus, what I have written? I have written C is equals to A plus B, means whatever input values are there in A and B are summed up and stored in C, and after that addition is printed, and after printing addition the control will break here. Next, if user instead of plus, suppose user inputted this modulus symbol, so the variable OP is having the value modulus. it will look for all the case values. Here it is getting plus, minus, multiply, divide, but there is no modulus symbol. So what it will print? It will come to the default value and it will print invalid operator. So like this, in switch case, we compare the case values with the expressions. So here we have the output. If two numbers are inputted, that is 6 and 5, and operator inserted is asterisk, multiplication is 30. I hope the concept is clear enough. So we will discuss the remaining topics, more complex topics in further lectures. Thank you.